Good morning. It is 9:08 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. How you doing? We got a big show today. You can listen to us anywhere, anyway, on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. You can watch us on Super Talk TV on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. We're going to have an interview. Joining us live on Super Talk TV will be Jeff Younger. And, you'll hear him on the radio, but he'll be on camera on Super Talk TV as well. Jeff Younger had he lost custody of his two boys. And it's become a tragic story and a battle that he's been fighting for years, but it seems like the final nail has been put in the coffin, so to speak, where his wife has custody of the kids, and she is going to transition one of the boys against the father's wishes. So we're going to talk to Jeff about that at 10:05. It is a fascinating story. It is a cautionary tale, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation. Also today, we have more allegations coming out against Donald Trump appointees, nominations, and it just seems like the media has been kvetching over all of these picks. And in the case of Pete Hegseth, police reports detailing sexual assault allegations. I'm going to need extraordinary evidence for these extraordinary claims. I just am. You're going to really, really need to prove it to me. Innocent until proven guilty to the extreme degree for all of these cabinet picks. We've seen this so many times, whether it was there are tapes of Donald Trump getting peed on by Russian hookers in Russia, or Brett Kavanaugh raped a girl at a party in high school, or, go down the list. There's always these allegations against conservatives. And I would wonder if part of the conversation during this interview process before the nominations were made were, if I nominate you, they're going to come after you. It had to be, right? This was baked into the cake. We knew that this kind of stuff was going to come. Well, the police report allegations are coming out against Hegseth, and it says a California woman told police that veteran and media host Pete Hegseth sexually assaulted her in 2017 after he took her phone and refused to let her leave a hotel room, a detailed police report said. Hegseth, known for his role as Fox News, Fox and Friends weekend host, told police that at the time the encounter was consensual and denied wrongdoing. He was, then the Monterey Police Department confirmed last week that it was investigating a sexual assault allegation that came to light after his nomination. Hegseth's lawyers argue he's completely innocent and was the subject of blackmail from the accuser. The attorney noted he paid the woman in 2023 to fend off a potential lawsuit. That doesn't mean there's wrongdoing. The police report was released after the public records were requested. It details the woman's alleged experience, which is different from Hegseth's version. It is also noted and included interviews with the alleged victim, a nurse who treated her, a hotel employee, and another woman, and Hegseth. The woman sought medical care. She believed she was sexually assaulted 5 days earlier, but couldn't remember much because she thought she was slipped something in her drink before winding up in a hotel room. The Hill reached out to the Trump transition team for comment, but a spokesperson told AP that the police report corroborates Hegseth's story, which is the incident was fully investigated and no charges were filed because the police found the allegations to be false. Let me repeat that last part. The police found the allegations to be false. One more time for those of you in the back. The police found the allegations to be false. Okay? The police found the allegations to be false. If anybody brings up the Hegseth stuff, the police found the allegations to be false. I think that is the biggest thing we can lean on. The police found the allegations to be false. The NDA, the payment, does not mean guilt. It doesn't. Plain and simple. Extraordinary claims are going to require extraordinary evidence. So far, all the evidence I'm seeing were the police found the allegations to be false. And now the smear campaign is in full effect, full swing, if you will. Even guys like Rupert Murdoch is coming out against Trump nominees. Rupert Murdoch's New York Post opposes the nominations of chaos agents like Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. They're all going to be smeared relentlessly. Get ready. This isn't going to stop until they're confirmed, and then there'll be something new that they're yelling about on left-wing mainstream media. Donald Trump has made a statement in regards to the smear campaigns against not one, not two, not three, but four of his cabinet picks. And it looks soon to be a five. People are going to be going after Linda McMahon as well soon, too. But Trump's making a statement on these. He says, this is what the radical left lunatics do to people. They dirty them up, they destroy them, and then they spit them out. They're trying that right now with some great American patriots who are only trying to fix the mess that the Democrats have made of our country. We will win, MAGA. And I also feel like we will win. I think that no matter what, we're going to get a lot of these nominations in. Will we miss one or two? Maybe, perhaps. I don't think it's going to be those big four. I think we're going to see Hegseth, Gaetz, Gabbard, and RFK confirmed. And I think we're going to see them confirmed off the strength of the mandate from the American people. Plain and simple. In Gaetz's case, he's the right guy for the job. And so many senators that seem to have an issue with it, they voted for Merrick Garland. So by all means, if you can vote for Merrick Garland but not Matt Gaetz, please explain why. Senator Josh Hawley has this to say about Trump's nominees.
Senator Hawley, so what's the word in the Senate about these confirmations?
Well, I think the word ought to be, Jesse, that every single one of these nominees needs to have a confirmation hearing as quickly as possible. My plan is to support all of them, and I would just say to my Senate colleagues, listen, let these guys testify. Give them a shot. I know some of these Senate GOP folks are saying, oh, I've got concerns. That's what a hearing is for. Don't go out and bash these people until you've at least allowed them to make their case. And listen, I think they've got momentum. I thought the meeting today with Gaetz went great, and it's full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. Senator Josh Hawley. Real quick, just a sleeper pick for 2028. I really like Josh Hawley. I really do. Whether he makes it to the big stage as the presidential candidate remains to be seen. But, man, I would love a Vance Hawley ticket in 2028. Just me. But keep an eye on Hawley. I think he's a rising star in the conservative movement. But for every Josh Hawley, we get a leftist lunatic who's saying the exact opposite. Eric Swalwell is very upset about the nomination of Matt Gaetz, Rep. Eric Swalwell. And he says, listen, we can't take Matt Gaetz seriously. He doesn't have the credibility to be taken seriously.
This person who becomes our attorney general has to have credibility as they go after counterterrorism cases, as they go after money laundering, as they go after public corruption. The public needs to know when they investigate and indict somebody that it has the weight of the United States government and the people behind it. And if that person has all of these storm clouds hanging over them, and we think, okay, you had your dirty laundry hidden by your buddies in Congress, the American people won't take it seriously. And then we start to look like other countries where you don't have faith in the people who lead us, like China, like Russia.
A couple things. Eric Swalwell, I don't know if you've been paying attention the last 3.5 years, but we don't have faith in the people leading us, plain and simple. Also, Eric Swalwell talking about credibility and being taken seriously is very rich. It tickles me pink, if you will, because I'm old enough to remember somebody by the name of Fang Fang. Do you remember Fang Fang? I think we all remember Fang Fang. So the guy who was removed from the House Intel Committee over this relationship with a Chinese spy is the one telling us about Matt Gaetz's credibility and the ability to be taken seriously. Are you keeping score? I'm keeping score. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it. The Gaetz ethics report that doesn't appear to be coming out. The House Ethics Panel has not agreed to release the report on Matt Gaetz. That dropped yesterday following their meeting. Michael Guest, a Republican out of Mississippi, the chairman of the House Committee on Ethics, told reporters that the committee did not reach an agreement to release the highly anticipated report on Gaetz, who resigned from Congress after being nominated. So it doesn't look like that's coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if it did come out at a certain date, but as of right now, it doesn't appear to be coming out. Now, you see leftists saying Gaetz has no credibility. Gaetz can't be the AG. I think that scares them. Glenn Greenwald, a great journalist who also happens to be a liberal, very liberal, but I think he's a good journalist because I think he's fair. He had this to say about Matt Gaetz, replying to a tweet that said if Matt Gaetz committed crimes, the DOJ didn't seem to find any during a 1.5-year-long investigation. If he didn't, then he didn't. There's a legal process in this country and should be pursued. Glenn Greenwald pointed out, when they're investigating Matt Gaetz, it was the Biden DOJ, not the Trump DOJ investigating Matt Gaetz, the Biden DOJ. He said they intensively investigated possible crimes by Matt Gaetz, and after 18 months of leaking to destroy his reputation in the press, the Biden DOJ decided that they couldn't even charge him and close the case. Somehow this doesn't matter. Well, it matters to me, and I understand it matters to you. Our own Senator Marsha Blackburn is officially on the record saying that she is going to support every one of Donald Trump's nominees.
Martha, when I met with Matt Gaetz and Vice President-elect Vance today, I asked Matt what his expectation was, and he wants to be able to have a hearing. He says he will answer any question that anyone asks him, and we have to keep in mind, President Trump has a mandate from the American people, and he has pushed forward with nominees for these positions that will help him to carry out that mandate. I'm going to support each of these nominees. And Matt wants to have a hearing, and he wants the opportunity to answer all of those questions. And I will add, I asked him what he would do if he were to be confirmed as Attorney General for the United States, and he was very specific. Dealing with the weaponization of the DOJ is at the top of the list. Dealing with the illegal immigration and the border security issues. Dealing with fentanyl. All of these are items on his to-do list.
That's Marsha Blackburn going on record saying she's going to support every Trump nominee, citing his mandate from the American people. And it is, without a doubt, this is a mandate from the American people. And we're going to see the establishment lash out and fight against each one of these mandates, because the last thing the establishment wants is for you to be interfering in their plans. See, they know what they need to do. They can't have the pesky American people getting in the way. It's not what they need. Not what they need. But we have other reps who aren't so high on Matt Gaetz, including one from Alaska who, definitely not as gung-ho as Marsha Blackburn. And this same rep from Alaska voted to confirm Garland. We'll drag her through the mud next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand, and I want to talk to you about my friend over at Cover Nash. His name's Shane Ring. Open enrollment is here, and if you need health insurance, not only can Shane Ring help you with his over 20 years of experience in health insurance, but he's going to shop the entire market for you. And he's going to look through over 75 different companies and every type of plan available in the market and help you save money no matter what your income or health situation is. You don't want to let yourself or someone you know get taken advantage of by call center agents. It can happen. It happens too often. Don't let it happen. Talk to Shane Ring. He can easily save you 30 to 60% of your monthly premiums. Easily. And many of these plans that he can sign you up with will pay you when you use them. So give Shane Ring a call today. He'll take care of you and let him know that I sent you. He'll show you how much you could be saving on quality health insurance right now. Give Shane a call at 615-465-0023, 615-465-0023, or you can hit his website, covernash.com, to book an appointment with Shane today. Get a quality health plan managed by you, not the government, covernash.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Up ahead, how Israel's prime minister is responding to a warrant for his arrest. Also, a Memphis florist says no thanks to business from Trump supporters. We'll tell you how that turned out. Those stories at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I saw that report about the Memphis business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't give any spoilers. I won't. But I like the outcome.
Yeah.
Joan Jones with the news coming up at 9:30. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You're seeing the smear campaign. You're seeing the establishment lash out against every Trump nomination. And some senators, even Republicans, aren't all in. One Lisa Murkowski out of Alaska. She doesn't seem as gung-ho about supporting Trump nominees as Marsha Blackburn is. Lisa Murkowski said she's not interested in a process where Matt Gaetz is confirmed Attorney General because the president has named him. She's saying it's got to go through the confirmation process. You're not going to give it to Trump just because Trump said so.
I would like to see our committees do their full job. I'm not interested in a process that would just say, well, because the president has named him and you have Republican chairs coming into the new Congress, that we just move people out. There needs to be legitimate vetting. When I say legitimate, I mean just thorough vetting that the committees do. This is our job.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of Senator Lisa Murkowski. Fun fact about Lisa Murkowski. Her father was the governor of Alaska and appointed her to the Senate. That's nice. That's nice. I'm sure she's in touch with regular, everyday American folks like you and I. Does she understand the mandate from President Trump? It doesn't sound like that she understands the mandate from the American people for President Trump. One congressional rep does, especially when it comes to Matt Gaetz. This is the woman that unseated Liz Cheney, Rep. Harriet Hagman out of Wyoming on Matt Gaetz.
I've worked with Matt Gaetz for the last 2 years on the Judiciary Committee and the Weaponization Committee. He's an incredible, brilliant legal mind, and he is someone who I think would go in and stir up the DOJ, which is what we need. We have uncovered a substantial amount of information of how the Department of Justice and the FBI have been weaponized against the American public. And Matt Gaetz has been instrumental in exposing that and trying to hold people accountable for the decisions that have been made. And I think that's really why they're attacking him and trying to derail this nomination.
I understand what these people have done and how Matt Gaetz has worked against them, and that's why they're trying to derail this nomination. Exactly.
Because they recognize that he's someone who's going to go into the Department of Justice and actually do what needs to be done, which is clean out a lot of the dead wood, if you will, and also root out the corruption that we know has been going on. What we saw with the Hunter Biden laptop, what we saw in terms of how they treated Hunter Biden, the amount of money that they gifted to him by refusing to prosecute him for the tax evasion that he engaged in with the money that he was receiving from foreign countries. Matt Gaetz is somebody who's going to expose this, and I think that that's why they're attacking.
I think that's why they're attacking, too. Matt Gaetz is unafraid. Matt Gaetz is not worried at all. You know, I do think a lot of these are going to get confirmed. Even some left-wing outlets are saying Trump nominees have a good chance of getting confirmed. Politico is on the record saying that all of Trump's nominees have solid political ground for confirmation. Yep, you heard me correctly. Jeff Greenfield, a contributing writer at Politico magazine, Politico, has said that all of President-elect Donald Trump's nominees being confirmed, the chance of them being confirmed by the Senate are quite good. The writing's on the wall. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Will we lose one? Maybe, perhaps. But I think the overwhelming majority of these nominations are going to get confirmed. Up to and including RFK, no matter what Nikki Haley says, and Nikki Haley is saying a lot. Spoiler alert, Nikki Haley wanted to be in this administration. I think she's a little bit bitter. Wait until you hear what she has to say about RFK and Tulsi Gabbard. I'll bring it to you after the news with Joan Jones, which happens right now on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
9:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top story. Stick around. Your forecast, and it's a chilly one, is still to come here. The International Criminal Court issuing arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, claiming there are reasonable grounds to believe that the two have committed war crimes in the war against Hamas.
It's highly unlikely that either of these men will stand trial, as the International Criminal Court has no enforcement ability. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office has responded, calling the charges absurd and false, saying that the ICC is biased and discriminatory. And his office said, quote, no anti-Israeli decision will prevent the state of Israel from protecting its citizens.
That's ABC News foreign correspondent Marcus Moore. The ICC also charged a Hamas leader. A former Nashville high school coach has surrendered to police, charged with statutory rape. 32-year-old Tyler Fort is accused of having multiple sexual encounters with a 17-year-old Donaldson Christian Academy student 4 years ago. He was a coach at that school. Police began their investigation in September when the former student came forward. A Memphis florist who refuses to serve customers who voted for President-elect Donald Trump has been forced to close up shop temporarily after receiving nasty backlash. The shop is named Everbloom Design. The owner is Kristen Wolter. She posted a video to Instagram announcing her decision, but then changed her account to private. And now some accused Wolter of discrimination. But in Tennessee, businesses do have a right to refuse service so long as their reasoning does not violate the Human Rights Protection Act of Tennessee. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. My wife does listen to my show, and in case she's listening right now and she's thinking about Christmas gifts, can I recommend the Glock store? Maybe you can sign me up for some training sessions. Maybe you can get me a great new Glock. They have every Glock in stock at the Glock store, Virginia, in case you're trying to figure out what to get me, and I'll take any of them, actually.
What a romantic gift.
You know, this is what I'm saying. I just want to drop these breadcrumbs for my wife. And if there are any wives listening out there, get your man something from the Glock store, whether it's a training session, whether it's a firearm. Husbands, your wives would like a training session as well. And right now at the Glock store through December 2nd, the Tactical Santa Sweepstakes. You buy a Glock store Tactical Santa patch or sticker, and you get entered to win a free factory Glock. That is only at the Glock store. It is that time of year we're supposed to be thankful. I'm thankful that the guys at the Glock store are sponsoring the show. As always, you should be thankful for these guys too. Because of them, we get to say what we want and let you say what you want without having to bend a knee to the government. I'm thankful for the Glock store all year long. You should be thankful too. If so, let them know the next time you visit the Glock store. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Glockstore.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
9:38 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. I got a text from my wife during the break. She said, you have too many guns. I said, there's no such thing. There's no such thing. Glockstar.com. That's all I replied.
I mean, you got to protect the house.
Said, too many guns? You didn't say anything about ammo. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand, 939. Nikki Haley, man, she wanted to be in this administration so bad. She wanted to be in this cabinet so bad. Remember when she said that it's going to be Kamala Harris that wins the election? Do you remember that? I remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. She's so bitter now. She wanted to be campaigning with Donald Trump after she stepped back, and they said, no thank you, no thank you. Then she wanted to be in the cabinet. Trump said, hard pass, actually. Hard pass. And now Nikki Haley, she's going on podcasts. She's doing podcast stuff and trashing Trump's picks for his administration. Classic. Yep. This is why we didn't want you. This is why we didn't want you. Spoiler alert. This is Nikki Haley. This is who she is. She's so bitter that she's got to get on a podcast and trash RFK and Tulsi Gabbard.
RFK Jr., our possible future Health Human Services appointee, endorsed Al Gore, John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama.
Well, he used to be a Democrat. Right? Yep. Hey, let's go a step further. Barack Obama once thought about appointing RFK to a cabinet position. The Lord and Savior of the Democrat Party, Barack Obama, wanted to appoint RFK. So is that maybe Democrats will vote for him now? Okay. A former Democrat endorsed Democrats? What are you going to tell me about Tulsi? That she once ran for president as a Democrat? What's that? RFK did too? Jeez. All right, I'm on Team Nikki now. I didn't know these things. I had no idea. I mean, she's probably going to talk about his radical takes on abortion too, right?
He said just this past year that he and Trump's positions, quote, could not be further apart. He is strongly pro-choice. He wants to go back to Roe v. Wade standards and allow abortion up until the time of birth.
Listen, I'll agree. His takes on abortion are radical, but he's going to be following orders from the boss. And RFK is a cruise missile, and we're pointing him directly at the corruption in the CDC, the NIH, the FDA. We're pointing him directly at the science behind vaccines. We're pointing him directly at getting the chemicals out of our food supply. See, we can disagree on things, and this is one of the things about the appointment of RFK. Yes, there's plenty we disagree on, but if we can work together towards our common goals, then we can actually do a lot of good for the American people, and that's the point of the appointment of RFK. So she can be mad, she can be bitter, but I'll be honest with you, I'll openly take RFK, who lets his positions be known, doesn't hold back, and doesn't lie, as opposed to someone like Nikki Haley, who will just say something to satisfy whichever way the wind is blowing on any given day. Right? At least RFK tells you what he's thinking. Nikki Haley, you're never really sure what her true position is. And if she was a cabinet nominee for Donald J. Trump, if she was going to be included in his second administration, she would be singing his praises right now, and she'd be singing the praises of every other appointee. So every other nomination, she'd be fine. She'd be fine with it. Let's be perfectly honest. That's Nikki Haley. But she's not in the club, so she's trashing the club.
The summary of it all, he's a liberal Democrat, environmental attorney, trial lawyer, who will now be overseeing 25% of our federal budget and has no background in healthcare.
It's such an oversimplification of RFK. It really is. He is a cruise missile, and we're pointing him where it needs to be pointed. And where we do need to point it is the healthcare industry. Have you seen what happened during the pandemic? Do you want to have a repeat of that? I certainly don't. You know, Nikki Haley isn't the only one out there. There's a Washington Post columnist who's completely unhinged. This is She's Jen Rubin, okay, Washington Post columnist. She said RFK wants to kill your kids because he's going to oppose vaccinations. She actually said this, and not just RFK, but Republicans as a whole.
And for people who don't get political news, who never pick up a newspaper, who never turn on CNN, who never even bother with Fox News, those people really have no idea what's going on. And that means we have to bend over backwards, not to suck up to these people, not to make excuses for them, but at least to communicate the basic facts.
So she's calling you dumb, for the record. Please, Miss Jen Rubin, enlighten us.
You don't have a vaccine because you're not getting a child tax credit because all the good things that are happening at the state level, they have to know why they're getting those things. Oh, you have a chip manufacturing plant because a Democratic president put that into effect, and a Democratic governor went out and solicited bids, and now you have X number of thousands of jobs. It's that simple. You can't talk broad themes. You have to boil it down to nuts and bolts, and you have to be pithy. What do I mean by pithy? How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids.
Oh, okay. That's pithy. That's pithy. Democrats are responsible for everything good. Okay? This is according to Washington Post columnist Jen Rubin. Democrats do everything good. Thank a Democrat. You just find one and thank them. Doesn't matter what for. I'm sure there's a plethora of reasons. Find them, thank them. And at the same time, Republicans want to kill your kids.
It's actually true.
Oh.
If you're going to oppose vaccinations, if you're going to stop breakthrough medical research, if you're going to allow minors and all sorts of people to get semi-automatic weapons, which they use to shoot up schools, well, then you are responsible.
No, you're responsible. You're responsible. You're going to let minors get semi-automatic weapons, you monster? Is that? You're responsible for that. Okay. I mean, there's already, they can't legally, but, hey, let's dig into the vaccination thing. You're responsible. Kids aren't going to get vaccines. It's your fault, okay? If you oppose vaccinations and you're a Republican, you want to kill kids. I think that it's absolutely valid to ask questions about vaccines. And I think that's all RFK wants to do. Ask some questions. Can we ask, are we allowed to ask questions? We're not, actually. We learned that during the pandemic. Don't do that. You'll get your account banned online. You'll get a strike on the YouTube. Don't ask questions. But I think it's worth asking questions. And anybody that hasn't been in this arena for a while, your kids are grown, they've moved on, you got older kids. Maybe you don't understand how different things are out there. But currently right now on the CDC childhood vaccine schedule for 0 to 18 years old, do you know how many vaccinations they're recommending? 70. 70. 70. 70 injections. 70 immune responses by the age of 18. So you're averaging one vaccination a quarter if you follow the CDC childhood vaccine schedule. You'd get 3 RSV shots, and people say that could soon become annual. I'm not sure. You'd get COVID shots annually, flu shots annually, three doses of Hep B, 2 doses of rotavirus, 5 doses of DTaP, 4 doses of polio, PCV 15, 20, 4 doses. Your Hib shot, you get 4. Your MMR, you get 2. Your VAR, you get 2. Your Hep A, you get 2. Your meningococcal, you get 2. Your Tdap, you get 1. Your HPV, you get 3. Over 70 injections if you follow the CDC childhood vaccine recommended schedule 0 to 18. But you're not allowed to ask any questions. And if anything bad happens, you cannot sue the manufacturer. Remember, if you oppose this and you're a Republican, it's because you want to kill kids, according to Washington Post columnist Jen Rubin. RFK opposing vaccines is him wanting to kill your kids. He doesn't oppose vaccines, for the record. He's not trying to ban vaccines, for the record. He wants to ask questions about vaccines. He wants to ask questions about the schedule, and he wants to have real studies, real science done that hasn't been done on some of these vaccines. He wants to kill your kids. Okay. But where do these questions come from? We're not allowed to have questions. Don't question the COVID vaccine. Don't question the timetable in which it was made. Don't question the origins of the virus. Yet, the COVID origins, it does seem like we have a pretty high-powered whistleblower talking about the origins of COVID now. Have you seen this? Former CDC Director Robert Redfield was talking about the true origins of COVID. And he says that he thinks it was intentionally engineered as part of a biodefense program.
You were just asking me, how I think that this virus was engineered. I think it was intentionally engineered as a part of a biodefense program.
One of the things that RFK talks about is biolabs, bioweapons. A lot of people will point to the potential locations of biolabs in Ukraine. And RFK's talked about that before. All of this rolls into one, right? It really does. And Fauci has been in the middle of all of it.
What was the U.S. role in that?
I think it was substantial. And this is why, when you look at the accountability for China, their accountability is not in the lab work and the creation of the virus. Their accountability is not following the international health regulations after they realized that they had a problem, and allowing people like me at CDC to come in and to help them within 48 hours like they were obligated to based on the treaty. But the U.S. role was substantial. One is they funded the research, both from NIH, the State Department, USAID, and the Defense Department. All four of those agencies helped fund this research.
Remember, this is former CDC Director Robert Redfield. I think one of the reasons that they fear RFK getting into this agency is him poking around on topics like this.
Secondly, the scientific mastermind behind this research is a guy named Ralph Barrick at the University of North Carolina. And he was very involved in this research. I think he probably helped create some of the original viral lines, but I can't prove that. But he was very involved. And
some have said that they are concerned that it was actually developed here and China was framed. Is that possible?
Well, I don't know if they were framed, but I think there is a real possibility that the virus birthplace was Chapel Hill.
Former CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield on a podcast with Dana Parash saying, I think the virus birthplace could have been Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I think that there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that they don't want this Trump administration poking their nose in, and I think that this is one of them.
And I do think, you see how emotional Tony Fauci gets when Rand Paul asks him a question.
Yeah.
He says, you're accusing me of killing 4 million people. Rand wanted to come back and say, no, I'm accusing you of killing 20 million people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to clarify Tony Fauci's role in supporting. I mean, he's, in my view, one of the biggest proponents and funders of gain-of-function research.
Yeah, no, he's the poster boy. I've fought him since 2012 on this issue. He's the poster boy of gain-of-function research.
How does he have so much power?
Because he owned all the money for research. I mean, he had billions and billions of dollars. Plus, you may know in 2002, 2003, Dick Cheney decided the United States needed a much more aggressive biodefense program. And so he took it away from Fort Detrick and the U.S. Army, where it belongs. And he put it at NIH under Fauci and gave him $40 billion to run it.
So Redfield, I mean, explosive allegations. And the mainstream media isn't touching this with a 10-foot pole. And I do believe when they oppose RFK so staunchly, a lot of these reasons come into play, at least in the background. He's saying that there was a biodefense program created by Dick Cheney. Fauci was put in charge of it. It was taken away from Fort Detrick. The Army should have been in control. Fauci was given $40 billion to run it. These are questions people don't want the answers getting out about. They just don't. You're not seeing this anywhere. It's gaining some steam online, this conversation with the former CDC Director Robert Redfield on the true origins of COVID-19. And it's definitely worth a listen. The podcast was with Dana Parash, and she does the Dana Parash podcast. I would recommend you listen to the whole thing. But I think when you see such violent opposition to RFK heading up HHS. A lot of it has to do with stuff like this that's been happening in the background for years. Remember, Elon Musk went on the record and says, my pronouns are still prosecute Fauci. A lot of questions, need a lot of answers. On the way, 10:05, we're going to be talking with Jeff Younger. This man had his 2 children taken away. He lost custody to his 2 boys, to his ex-wife. She brought the boys to California, and she's transitioning one of the boys against the father's wishes. It's going to be a good interview. Stick around for it. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 50 degrees right now. Got your forecast still to come. The director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation is clarifying his remarks at state budget hearings in which he said Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is present in every major city in the state. But some local police agencies have said that they don't see it. Here's TBI Director David Rausch speaking to Channel 4.
What I want to make sure that the public knows is that we are aware, we are watching them, we are tracking those that we know that are here, and we also want the public to be diligent, as always, and paying attention in their communities for signs of things like human trafficking.
He says many of the local agencies don't have the same intelligence gathering that TBI does. Metro Nashville police say they do have a heightened awareness of gang activity in the city. A 16-year-old female student at Maplewood High School has been charged with making mass threats of violence. Metro Nashville police say that girl posted threats to bomb and shoot up the school on an Instagram page. And police in northern Warren County say 3 people were found dead yesterday at a home in the Mary Oaks Road area, saying there is no immediate threat of harm to anyone else in the area. In a post to Facebook late yesterday afternoon, police said TBI will join in the investigation. A police report on an alleged 2017 sexual assault involving a Trump cabinet pick, Pete Hegseth, was released by the city attorney in Monterey, California last night.
President-elect Donald Trump fighting to get his controversial cabinet choices confirmed. There are growing questions about his choice for defense secretary, Fox News host Pete Hegseth. Hegseth's attorney now acknowledges he paid a financial settlement to a woman who accused him of sexual assault in 2017. Hegseth's lawyer says the encounter with the woman was actually consensual, but that Hegseth paid her anyway because he believed, quote, any public accusation would result in his immediate termination from Fox.
That's ABC's Mary Bruce. Police did investigate, but Hegseth was not charged. How much would you pay for a banana duct taped to a wall? Well, the so-called piece of art from Italian artist Maurizio Catalan sold at Sotheby's auction house yesterday.
Fair warning. At $5,200,000. Jen, the Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed.
Sotheby's revealed afterwards that the banana went to Justin's son. He's a Chinese collector and founder of a cryptocurrency platform. That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's 10:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Very excited about our next guest joining us live on Super Talk TV and on the FM dial at 99.7 WTN. Jeff Younger. Jeff has a wild story. It's a heartbreaking story and could also be seen as a cautionary tale. Jeff has had his son stolen from him by the ex-wife and the California legal system. And I think I may be simplifying it, but it's heartbreaking because what Jeff's wife wants to do is not what Jeff wants to do when it comes to one of his boys. Jeff is joining us live. Jeff, how are you? I'm good. Thanks for taking some time to talk about this. I really appreciate it. Can you kind of give us a brief synopsis of when this all began? I understand you were divorced in 2019, but where this began and how we got to where we are now with you and your boys and your ex-wife.
I was still married, and my ex-wife tried to transition my son to a girl. And when I objected to it, she filed for divorce. She's a pediatrician, and she used her relationship with licensed care providers, forced me out of my home. I moved a mile up the road. If you go on to YouTube, you can search for a video, "Mommy Says I'm a Girl." It went kind of viral. And it's the first iPhone video I ever took. And it's my son telling me that his mother's telling him he's a girl and he believes her.
I remember seeing that video as it was going viral and feeling that just infuriated for you. Because at the time, your son was saying, I'm not.
That's right. That's right. And she really ramped it up. I mean, she began to put him in a dress and present him to the world as a girl. Eventually, it got to the point where I was taking my son to school in Coppell, Texas. And I would take him to school in boys' clothes because he always presented as a boy with me, and he only presented as a girl with his mom. You'd think the courts would choose the normal route of development, but they consistently have not, even though my boy could have had a normal life being raised as a boy with me. He was perfectly comfortable as a boy with me. I'd take him to school in boys' clothes, and the teacher would give him a dress, put him in a dress, and they'd make him use the girls' restroom behind my back. They did it in secret. And I discovered that's legal in all 50 states.
And this wasn't in California at the time, though, correct? This was in Texas.
Is Coppell, Texas, yeah.
Which is even more mind-blowing. Because you think of Texas as a more conservative state, but that wasn't the case for you. That wasn't your experience.
No, Texas has a conservative electorate, but it's ruled by liberal Republicans. That's what you need to understand about Texas. So I found out about them transitioning my son at school. I started really opposing this with the school. I filed grievances and everything, and that led to another trial in 2019. The judge heard all the evidence, gave me 50-50 custody, no child support, and most importantly, a check on all medical procedures. And the liberal judges in Dallas County, Texas, got really upset by that, and they transferred the case into the 301st District Court with Judge Bloody Mary Brown. Bloody Mary systematically stripped me of all parental rights using temporary orders, because in Texas, temporary orders in family court cannot be appealed. So she knew she had no oversight. Eventually, she gave me supervised visitation because I wouldn't stop trying to pass a law in Texas. I literally lost my kids because of political activism to outlaw chemical castration of children. Because I refused to attend the supervised visitations because the supervisor was himself transgender and refused to let me change my son out of a dress and refused to let me pray with my children.
That's heartbreaking. So you couldn't even pray with your kids?
No.
I mean, with all this happening, I mean, it sounds like, it's become kind of routine for you to tell your story, but I want to know about like the human element. How are you feeling as a father at that time? I can imagine you feel pretty helpless.
Yeah. I mean, here's the best way I could describe it. Imagine over a long period, this has been 10 years. You have to sit there and you're in a chair and you have to watch someone attempt to sexually abuse your child. And if you ever act out emotionally, a judge will put you in jail and take your kid away from you forever, and you'll never be able to protect him. You have to be calm and collected while they try to sexually abuse your child. That's exactly emotionally what it feels like.
Ugh. It's heartbreaking, man. So then you're in these supervised visits. The person that is supervising the visits is transgender. You're not allowed to change your boy out of the dress. What do you do at that point?
Well, I made a decision about several things when all this started. I said, number one, I'm never going to harm my son. Number two, I'm never going to let my resources be used to harm my son. And number three, I'm never going to stop trying to protect my son and tell him the truth. So I've always tried to leave I know because I figured I'd lose contact eventually. So I've always tried to leave a big public record that I was protecting him and doing the right thing for him. So he'll know in the end what happened. So what the judge said is, well, you haven't visited your children, so I'm going to allow your ex-wife to move to California since you haven't been visiting your kids anyway.
Wow.
So you see what the courts do. They create the conditions where you can't obey the orders, and then they hold you accountable and punish you for not following the very orders that they created that you can't follow. I went to the Texas Supreme Court over this because I had successfully passed a law in Texas. It took me 6 years and about a couple $100,000 of my own money, but I got the Texas legislature to outlaw these barbaric practices on children and shut down $1 billion industry in the state.
Thank God.
And I earned the anger of most of the establishment Republicans in Texas because of that. I was actually banned from the Capitol for a while.
Really?
Oh yeah.
They just didn't want to hear what you were having to say, or what you were causing too much of a ruckus. What would make them upset with you in this situation? That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand what's actually happening in the Republican Party and what the fundamental problem in the Republican Party is about. And this really relates to Trump and a lot of other issues in the party. It turns out that the the donor class of the Republican Party are Northeastern liberals, and they're actually far left people. The largest donor to the Republican Party is Paul Singer. Paul Singer founded the Human Rights Campaign, and the Human Rights Campaign initiated the transgender movement in the United States. So the transgender movement was started by Republicans. It was not started by Democrats. And I'm a lifelong Republican, and I was shocked to find this out. Paul Singer's Human Rights Campaign is the most powerful LGBT lobby group in the world, and they're the reason that our embassies were flying the pride flag at every country in the world. They're the ones that had the power to do that. So you have a liberal donor class, and then you have an extremely conservative electorate. So imagine you're an elected official. How do you solve this problem? Here's how you solve it. When I got that bill passed here in Texas, they removed 3 sentences from the bill. And those 3 sentences would have classified these procedures as felony child sexual abuse, which in Texas would get you put in a maximum security prison for life. You'd go to a gladiator farm and you'd be lucky to make it out. So it would have been a huge deterrent, but most importantly, because it would be felony child abuse, you could not take your child out of Texas in order to do these procedures. You can't take your child to another country, another state to abuse them.
Yep.
So it would have prevented that. But see, they wanted the loophole to let kids go to other states, because here's how they play the game. They say, they go to the conservative electorate and they say, you see how conservative I am? I voted to outlaw these barbaric procedures, vote for me. Then they go to their liberal donor class and they say, you see how great I am? I left those loopholes for your people. Now you can give me money. So if you want to know why Republicans pass bills like border bills that never stop anything at the border, it's because they pass bills that look conservative, so you vote for them, and then they leave loopholes so the liberal donor class will keep giving them money.
It's always about the money, isn't it?
It's always about the money, because you need money to get elected. You can't get elected without money.
Yep.
I ran for office here in Texas, and it was my political speech when I was running for office that lost me my children. That's what was presented at court. And they said I was violating a gag order by my political speech. And I spent $160,000, but my opponent spent $4.5 million. I mean, I only lost by 1,300 votes, but it shows you that with money can defeat good intentions. And so money is important.
And we've seen examples of that here in Tennessee, where you had state reps that were voting against transgender bills, and then they spend a lot of money in the state races, and then they win.
That's right. That's how it works.
It's insane.
It's insane. And I'm going to say something that most people won't say. We have a serious problem with our Republican voters. I'll just tell you, before I ran for office, I went to visit Democrat clubs in Dallas County under a false name to just see how the Democrats organize. I wanted to see what my opponents did and how they worked, right?
Yeah. Smart.
So you go to a Republican club meeting, what happens? You have a cocktail soiree, you have a charismatic speaker, you do a little networking, you go home and you go to bed, right? I go to this Democrat meeting, and it was first of all, it was at noon on a Saturday, and I was like, who the heck would go to a meeting at noon on Saturday? Well, wouldn't you be at the park throwing a football or something?
Yep.
So, well, it turns out liberals don't do stuff like that, you know? So I show up, it's in a gymnasium. I was like, I showed up in a suit thinking it was going to be like a Republican event. It's in a gymnasium. I said, hey, I'm a Republican. I want to become a Democrat. I've been swayed, by your arguments, and put on a big show about it. And the lady said, well, what particularly interests you? And I said, the transgender issue interests me. And she looked on this list. She said, go on over to table 6. I go over to table 6, and there are these 2 blue-haired lesbians there, and they give me an entire plan to take over my voting precinct. And they were like, if you can get 50 people, we'll give you a free website. If you get 100 people and half of them show up to our planned protests, we'll put a donation button and you keep 25%. You know, they had a whole plan for me to take over my precinct.
Wow.
So you just compare that to what Republicans do. So I found that Republican voters are extremely vulnerable to enemy propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And in the primaries, they consistently vote for establishment liberal candidates rather than conservatives. And I've just seen it time and time again.
It's insane. So where are you at today with your sons? I caught wind of an ex post that you put out, and a mutual friend had sent it to me and said, you got to get this guy on your show. Where does the case stand today with your 2 sons and your ex-wife?
Well, when they gave her the right to move to California, I took it up to the Texas Supreme Court, which is supposed to be very conservative, and said, look, I passed a law against transing kids in Texas. She's moving my son to California with the explicit aim of committing child abuse under Texas law. So you can't allow her to move to Texas. The district judge has abused her discretion. And this Texas Supreme Court ruled against me and actually said that she was no more likely to transition my son to a girl in California than she would be in Texas, which is transparently ridiculous.
Yeah.
What it really was is the Republican establishment here was so upset that I forced a public vote by everybody on that transgender bill that they wanted me to move to California. They wanted to get me out of California so I wouldn't be a bee in their bonnet anymore. So anyway, she moves to California. I have to go to trial in California. The judge in California illegally seals the trial. It's against California law to do that. You can only do it in one instance, and that's in a parentage action. This is not a parentage action. They denied the press access to the court. They didn't allow court watchers. All of the transcripts are sealed. So we had a secret trial. And after it's a 7-day trial, I did it without a lawyer because I don't use lawyers anymore. And I destroyed their expert witnesses, proved that my ex-wife had given a false history to the care providers. She never told the care providers that my son consistently presented as a boy with me, for example, which you'd think would be very important.
Yeah, it's a big piece to leave out.
Yeah, he totally ignored that in his ruling. Literally, my expert's name doesn't even appear. She testified for an entire day. Her name doesn't even appear in the ruling. He gave me all contact must be supervised. Even my telephone conversations I have to pay for a supervisor. We have to communicate through this special program. We can't communicate by email or anything. She was given what in Texas would be called sole managing conservatorship. It's called sole legal custody in California, meaning that she has all the parental rights and I don't have any parental rights. So now she has free reign to go and chemically castrate my son. My guess is that he went in the clinic already this week and probably has his puberty blocked right now.
Jeez, it's heartbreaking. And it's your son, and I want to make sure that I'm being careful with my language. I don't want to offend you, but it's like, even if you believe in that ideology, the puberty blockers actually don't help, because then if you want to get the surgeries that would transition you later down the road, they don't work. Even with their own logic, it doesn't make any sense to do the puberty blockers.
You're right, which tells you that they're lying. The reason that they block puberty is that puberty is the cure for gender dysphoria. They're blocking the cure to maintain the illness.
And we've seen studies where after a few years, many kids grow out of it as a phase.
98%. 98% post-puberty just identify with their biological sex with no problems.
Insanity. So what are you doing now? I'm assuming that the fight is going to continue in some form or fashion. What are your next steps?
Well, I told the judge in court under no uncertain terms, because one of the things that I do is I just don't, family court's full of lies, but I don't lie in family court. And I tell these judges the truth. And the judge said that you have been, Mr. Younger, you have been relentless in your campaign against these transgender procedures and using your children's case to bolster that. And I just asked him point blank. I said, well, you're a judge, you're a lawyer. Don't you know that all laws are made from specific cases? We don't just make up laws from abstract principles. Laws come out of the application of the real world to the statutes. So I have to use my son's case as an example to get laws passed. And I said, I'm putting you on notice right now. I'm going to outlaw these practices in California just like I did in Texas. And this ruling is going to be overturned and it's going to be looked upon as a gross abuse of the law when I get that law passed. And they laughed and they said, well, our legislature is a little different. So I'm not going to the legislature. You have a proposition system and I can bypass the legislature. And I polled it in California and 80% of Democrats don't want to do this to children either. I said, this is going to be illegal. And I don't intend to ever stop trying that. Now that my kids live in California, I have to protect them here. So first of all, I'm going to continue political activism in California, and I'm going to outlaw these procedures in California. Secondly, I'm going to go up on appeal. I'm going to seek a stay, and I'm going to try to go up to the California senior courts and try to overturn this decision, because it seems to me that it's illegitimate because much of the evidence wasn't considered in the ruling. Third, I'm going to work with the Trump administration to make sure that they follow through with their promise to outlaw these practices and federally decertify hospitals that do this stuff to children. And I'm going to make sure that they follow through on that promise on day one.
Hey, Jeff, we are behind you all the way. How can we support you in this fight?
Well, the best way to support me is to work in your own communities and outlaw these procedures and classify them as child abuse. If we do that, we can eradicate these practices and we don't need to worry about the donor class and the big donor hospitals. That's the most important thing. Second thing is, if you want to help with my legal expenses, you can go to savejames.org, O-R-G, savejames.org, not .com. SaveJames.com has been taken over by leftists.
SaveJames.org.
And you can also find me on Twitter at Jeff Younger Show. I don't actually have a show, but my life had become so public, like the Truman Show. It's kind of a joke. At Jeff Younger Show. And then I have a Substack where I write about the origins of the transgender movement, the social genealogy, the intellectual history of the left at jeffyounger.substack.com.
Jeff, I really appreciate you taking some time to share your story with us. We'll be praying for you, and keep fighting the good fight, man. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
It is 10:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Up ahead, the Department of Government Efficiency is now getting a seat in Congress. We'll tell you how and who's going to lead it. Also, a former Nashville high school coach arrested on aggravated rape charges. Those stories coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1028 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you to our last guest, Jeff Younger. I mean, sharing his story, it's a heartbreaking story. I mean, he sounds like a guy that's been through it, though. You know, I don't know about how he felt to you. He felt just like a little bit cold, you know, just you're running through that story again, you know, probably for the 1,000th time. And you can hear the pain in his voice a little bit. But he seems like he's grown numb to it almost. And that hurts, man. If you want to help James Younger, or Jeff Younger, excuse me, and his son James, you can go to savejames.org. That's savejames.org, and that will help with legal fees. Definitely prayer warriors stand up and send some prayers his way. Give him a follow on X at Jeff Younger Show, Jeff Younger Show, and support any way you can. Share that story. It's a cautionary tale on many, many levels. And it's always about the money, isn't it?
I'm looking at the Give, Send, Go right now, and people are sending money because of this.
Good.
Because you brought this to their attention. Good for you.
Hey, I'm just grateful that he wanted to come on and share his story. Yeah. I don't know. As a dad, I don't know if I would be strong enough to share that story. I just don't know if I could do it. I don't know. It would be heartbreaking, heartbreaking to tell that story every single time. It's savejames.org to support those guys. It's always about money, always. This is why you're seeing the pushback on so many levels from the establishment. It's about the money, whether it's RFK at HHS or whether it's the Department of Government Efficiency. I got an update on the Department of Government Efficiency, and it has to do with James Comer. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this when we get back. 615-737-9986. The House Oversight Subcommittee is putting some oversight on Doge. Is that what's happening? We'll talk about it next on Super Talk.
Well, good morning. It's 10:30 now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Yeah, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene has been tapped to lead a newly formed House subcommittee that's going to work with the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. That one is led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. That's according to a report on Fox News. Now, this subcommittee is expected to investigate wasteful spending and reorganize federal agencies. A former Nashville high school coach has been charged with statutory rape. 32-year-old Tyler Ford is accused of having sex with a 17-year-old Donaldson Christian Academy student 4 years ago. That former student came forward in September. Ford has been released after posting a $10,000 bond. In Spring Hill, a 19-year-old riding a bicycle was struck and killed by a large passenger bus last evening. This happened on Campbell Station Parkway, west of Main Street. Police were able to say that 19-year-old was a resident of Spring Hill, but they haven't made a formal ID. Breaking news just now, the Illinois Supreme Court has overturned actor Jussie Smollett's conviction for staging a racist and homophobic attack against himself in downtown Chicago in 2019 and then lied to police. His attorneys successfully argued that it was improper to allow a special prosecutor to restore the charges that had been dropped by a state attorney. And the nation heads into the holidays with a declining number of layoffs, at least by one leading indicator.
In the week leading up to November 16th, 213,000 out-of-work Americans filed initial claims for unemployment benefits. That's down 6,000 from the week before and the lowest reading since May. California topped the list with 5,900 new first-time claims.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan. Stocks are mixed. The Dow Jones Industrial's up 404, but the Nasdaq has fallen 27. S&P 500 index is plus 23 points. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It's 10:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You got family coming over for Thanksgiving? Is your heater working the way it should be? It's going to be cold. You still got time to get it working the right way, the Busy Bee way. Let Busy Bee make sure your home is ready for the big day. Right now, they got a limited number of 14-SEER, 1.5 to 3-ton split heat pumps for just $69.95. And this includes labor, equipment, materials, and warranty. It is the perfect way to upgrade your cozy and save on your energy costs before you got family coming over for Thanksgiving. If they are coming, they're coming from far away. You're going to have extra bodies in the house showering. You don't want to run out of hot water. And if your hot water heater is not up to the job, call Busy Bee. You can take $750 off an upright tanked water heater with circulation kit. And if you're looking into air duct cleaning, they can help you with that too. You buy the basic package, they'll upgrade you to the premium service at no extra charge. And when the in-laws get there, you can give them a Beehive Club membership for free just by having your own Beehive membership. It's that simple. For a home that's ready for family and guaranteed for comfort, call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
1038 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. You can find me on Twitter, True Social, Instagram, at Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I will follow back. You can listen to us wherever you go with the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the 99.7 WTN app. If you missed an interview or want to share it with your friend, like our interview with Jeff Younger earlier, talking about his two boys that have been taken by the ex-wife and they're transitioning one of the boys. Heartbreaking story. That interview will be on the podcast page at 997WTN.com. Also, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. Like, share, rate 5 stars, do all the things. I got a bunch of kids. It'll help out. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. You know, we're talking about Doge. That's coming. The Department of Government Efficiency. Yet, I saw a story this morning, and I have to wonder why. Why? You know, the key thing I like about the Department of Government Efficiency is the efficiency. And now we're hearing that House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is going to establish a subcommittee that will work with the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency led by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. The subcommittee is going to be chaired by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know why we need a subcommittee. I feel like that is already making things less efficient. I like Marjorie Taylor Greene a lot. This is not against her, but I don't understand why James Comer is getting involved. I don't necessarily dislike James Comer. He seems like he's okay enough. But Comer is creating a Doge subcommittee. It's a subcommittee. Fox News has the exclusive. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer is expected to establish a subcommittee that will work with the newly formed Doge, led by Elon and Vivek, to eliminate government waste, Fox News has learned. A source familiar told Fox News that Marjorie Taylor Greene will chair the Delivering on Government Efficiency Subcommittee, which will focus on rooting out waste, fraud, abuse in the federal government. The subcommittee is expected to investigate wasteful spending, examine ways to reorganize federal agencies to improve efficiency, and identify solutions to eliminate bureaucratic red tape. Again, I just want to point out, this is what Doge is already supposed to be doing. Okay? So we now have a subcommittee that's doing the exact same thing that Doge is going to do, all in the name of government efficiency. And I have to ask, if two people are doing the exact same thing, how does that fall in the lane of efficiency? I'm just asking for a friend. It doesn't seem very efficient. A source familiar told Fox News that Comer had a meeting with Ramaswamy and his incoming Doge team. Ramaswamy confirmed the meeting with Comer and Greene to Fox News Digital. Ramaswamy says it's a key step to driving greater efficiency in government, and that key step is exposing the problem to the public. We're grateful that the House Oversight Committee has created a subcommittee to focus on this work. We look forward to working together. So Vivek is like, that's fine. It's all good. But I just have to ask, what has the House Oversight Committee done? With James Comer at the chair, we've learned a lot of things about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and money dealings overseas, but what came of it? What came of it? Nothing. Nothing. James Comer has no wins on the board with the House Oversight Committee. Zero. Just being perfectly honest. Name a win that James Comer and the House Oversight Committee have delivered. And if the whole point of this is government efficiency, why are we letting James Comer create a subcommittee to do the exact same thing that Doge is going to be doing? Can anybody make sense of that? Am I the only one that is having an issue with that? 615-737-9986. Is it just me? If it's just me, somebody tell me. But if the name of the game is efficiency, why are we having two things doing one thing? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Vivek seems to be okay with it. That's all right. I guess. Marjorie Taylor Greene told Fox News that the House Oversight Committee is the perfect place to support the Doge mission. She said she's excited to chair this subcommittee designed to work hand in hand with President Trump, Elon, Vivek, and the entire Doge team. We will identify and investigate the waste, corruption, and absolutely useless parts of our federal government. Green said the subcommittee will provide transparency and truth to the American people through hearings. No topic will be off the table, she said. The goal of DOGE is to bring accountability and gut useless government agencies. Wins could come of this. I just haven't seen any wins from the House Oversight Committee yet. I haven't. Green said she expects the subcommittee's work will expose people who need to be fired. The bureaucrats who don't do their job, fail audits like in the Pentagon, and don't know where billions of dollars are going will be getting a pink slip, Green said. Chairman Comer and I are focused on delivering the mandate voters sent on November 5th, and I can't wait to get to work. Now, I understand that you need some congressional backing. I get that. But I do fear that they're going to get bogged down by this congressional backing. Just me? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Austin, who's out there in Portland, is it just me? Or do you feel the same way about DOGE?
Hey, Chris. No, when you was talking about that, it reminded me of what they said about DOGE. DOGE is just an advisory. You need somebody there to take action. Well, I'm not thrilled that it's the government because I don't think the government ought to be involved in anything, if you want to know the truth about it.
Well, and I also I'm looking at the House Oversight Committee, and I wonder, when have they taken any action that we can point to and say that was a huge win?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're useless.
I feel like they're going to get more in the way than anything else.
Well, yeah, oversight. it's in the word oversight.
Yep, exactly. I appreciate it. So Austin didn't change my mind, but maybe Billy in Nashville can explain it to me in a way that I can understand. Billy, what do you think about the House Oversight Committee being involved with DOGE?
Well, Chris, I think the first thing that Elon and Vivek need to do is go in there, and since they have the power to get rid of them anyway, is say, well, this is going to be a waste of government money, this oversight committee, so we're getting rid of it first.
Seriously. It just feels like it's just going to be another hurdle to anything they need to get done.
Yep.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate it. Jersey Judy out there in Lebanon wants to talk about DOGE. What's up, Judy?
Yeah, hey, Chris, I met you at the event the night before the election.
Yes, ma'am.
After the election. Yeah. So my thoughts are that Congress holds the purse strings. So Vivek and Elon Musk can go in there and say, cut this, cut that, but they really don't have any authority. So it has to go through Congress. So by Congress, forming a subcommittee, they can tell Congress what they want cut, and then Congress can then cut that out of the budget.
But correct me if I'm wrong, the president can do a lot of that through executive action, too.
Yeah, but then the next president can come in and undo his executive action just like Biden did here. If it goes through Congress, then it's more stable.
Fair enough. I don't know. I just don't know if any president can come in and be like, hey, you know those trillions of dollars that we cut from the budget? We're going to put that back in. I don't know how popular that would be.
Well, look how popular cutting the pipeline was, but he did it anyway. Look how popular opening the border was, but he did it anyway. So everything
fair enough.
was done on day one. And as far as James Comer discovering all this stuff about Hunter, and nothing is happening because look who the Department of Justice. It's all Biden's people, and they're not going to, James Comer can bring this to the forefront, but they're not going to press any charges because it's all, politically connected.
Hey, great call, Judy. You're talking me away from the ledge. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Jason in Dixon, your thoughts on DOGE?
Hey, good morning. So my thoughts on it is what I would do is, as far as Trump is concerned, cut all spending day one through executive order, and then make every single department head come into Congress and justify the funds that they need for whatever it is that they want to do, such as the National Institute of Health and all of the experiments that they want to run. Justify, like I said, cut the spending, and then have them come in and justify their budget.
Public budget requests. That's what we need.
That's the way I see it.
Hey, I'm with it, Jason. I appreciate the call. 615-737-9986. I just don't think James Comer has done anything great. I don't know. Maybe the subcommittee can be a part of the weekly Doge casts that are going to be happening online. Hopefully. Rick in Columbia, what are your thoughts on Doge and the House Oversight Committee?
Well, I agree with you. I really think that Comer, while I was 100% supportive of his investigations into the Biden family corruption and other deals, as you stated, the end result is nothing becomes of it.
Yep.
So this committee probably will hold true as well, and I see it irrelevant myself.
Yeah, I hear you. I appreciate the call, Rick. It always is going to come back to money, and I worry about people getting in people's ears that are already in Congress saying, hey, no, we really do need this program. We really do. And then the reality of the situation being far, far different. We'll find out. Only time will tell. However, I do think a lot of these nominees and appointments of Donald J. Trump are going to get in. Did you see Tommy Tuberville the other day? He's given a speech defending Trump's cabinet picks, and behind him on the stage, he has a huge cutout, and it says number of Democrats who voted against Biden's 21 cabinet nominees, and it has a big number 0 for all to see. And I love that Tuberville did this. Put the Republicans on notice. The Democrats didn't have any problem voting for any of Biden's cabinet picks. And his defense of Trump's cabinet picks is just fantastic. You want to give me some audio, Mason? Yo, Mason, give me some audio real quick. This is Tommy Tuberville.
Decided that the America First agenda championed by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is the playbook for American greatness. As a part of that playbook, President Trump has already put together a strong, very strong list of qualified cabinet members. At defense, he's tapped Pete Hegseth, a veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, is Ivy League educated businessman background. That's what we need in the Pentagon right now to restore order in our finances. At HHS, he's assigned Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has single-handedly brought attention to the many public health crises facing Americans.
Yep.
He's Harvard educated, has authored multiple books, and has a 4-decade career in public health and environmental law. And an attorney general, he's nominated Matt Gaetz, a qualified attorney who has served in Congress for nearly a decade. Matt Gaetz has been a warrior for the Constitution on the Judiciary Committee and has exposed the weaponization of the justice system of the DOJ. Ask yourself, why are my Democratic colleagues, the media, and the establishment losing their minds over these highly qualified nominees?
Well, I'll answer that question. They're losing their minds because a lot of these picks are exactly where they need to be, and that's over the target.
It's because of the dislike to President Trump, the American First agenda, and nearly 80 million Americans who voted to send him back to the White House.
Yep, that too.
It's obvious. Panic has set in at the DOJ, the intelligence community, and the entire D.C. swamp. They're finding out, as Barack Obama said, that elections have consequences.
They sure do, and the Democrats are feeling those consequences. We got a wild few weeks ahead of us before Donald Trump gets inaugurated and as the confirmation process starts, and we're going to be covering it all right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. One of the picks that we haven't talked about quite a bit is Tom Homan. And people are upset about Tom Homan. Now, a lot of people are getting out there ahead of the mass deportations and saying, we're only going to go after the criminals first. Don't worry. You know, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be step by step, and it's going to be reasonable. Wait until you hear what Tom Homan has to say, especially in the wake of the guilty verdict of Jose Ibarra, the illegal alien murderer of Laken Riley. We'll talk about that on the way. It's 10:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Looks like the Biden administration getting ready to send another package of military aid to Ukraine before Trump takes office. The Daily Wire says that's going to be about $275 million in military aid. Meanwhile, advisors for President-elect Trump's transition team issuing a grim warning this morning to Republican lawmakers who voted against his cabinet picks during the confirmation process. Jonathan Karl.
One senior Trump advisor told ABC News the message is, quote, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. That is all. And there's a guy named Elon Musk who is going to finance it. The Trump advisor added, quote, the president gets to decide his cabinet, no one else.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have laid out their vision for the Department of Government Efficiency, which President-elect Trump has tasked them to run. They say the goal is to cut $500 billion in annual federal spending a year on things which Congress didn't authorize or never intended. Basically, they're going to cut bureaucrats out of it. They're going to appoint people in agencies to identify the minimum number of employees required at an agency for it to perform its constitutionally permissible and statutorily mandated functions. Breaking news, the International Criminal Court issuing arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and Hamas official Mohammed Daif. This is for crimes against humanity related to the ongoing war.
Nearly the entire population of Gaza has been displaced in one way or another. And we've learned from the Gaza Health Ministry that the death toll has surpassed 44,000. The health ministry there does not differentiate between the fighters and civilians, but the agency says a majority of those who've been killed have been women and children.
Yeah, it's highly unlikely that any of these men are going to stand trial, as the International Criminal Court has no enforcement ability. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office has responded, calling the charges absurd and false, saying that the International Criminal Court is biased and discriminatory. And his office said no anti-Israeli decision will prevent the state of Israel from protecting its citizens. Here in Tennessee, police are actively searching for an inmate who escaped while being transported in Franklin County. 23-year-old Tony Sweeten escaped around 8:30 last night in the area of Highway 127 and Wattendorf Highway. That's right at the Franklin and Coffee County line. Police believe he is in the wooded area near where he escaped. One boxing fan so furious about Netflix's spotty service during last week's Paul Tyson fight, he's suing.
Netflix had hyped the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight for months, but for many who watched, it sounded something like... Now a Florida man named Ronald Denton has filed a class-action lawsuit against Netflix, claiming breach of contract and deceptive actions for an event his suit calls unwatchable.
That's ABC's Jim Ryan. And the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The verdict coming down yesterday, Jose Ibarra, the illegal alien Tren de Aragua gang member that was flown on a taxpayer-funded flight to Georgia, guilty on all counts. Yet, the DA in the case, the district attorney that won't pursue the death penalty, Deborah Gonzalez, unbelievable. She said she won't pursue the death penalty because she's worried about collateral consequences to undocumented defendants. Many people online pointing out that this is a Soros DA. And if you want to see a picture of this woman, I posted one on my Twitter account, at Chris Hand on Air. She's a big Harris Walz supporter. Surprise, surprise. She actually posted on November 5th, Election Day, let's do this, hashtag not going back, with a rainbow flag sign that says, we're not going back, Harris Walz 2024, Deborah Gonzalez for DA. That's who decided not to pursue the death penalty. Yep, it makes sense, right? Yeah, it makes sense to me. You know, while discussing that verdict of Lake and Riley and the devastation from the southern border, the wide open southern border at the hands of the Biden-Harris administration. Last night on the Laura Ingraham Show, our new border czar, Tom Homan, he actually teared up. And this is a big, strong, tough guy who is just recounting what he's seen at the southern border, and it got him emotional.
You know, Laura, a lot of people ask me why I get so emotional when I do Fox News and why I scream at members of Congress. Because I've seen so much tragedy. I've talked to hundreds of angels and moms and dads who buried their children because they're killed by illegal alien. This is the latest. You know, I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by members of cartel. When you look in her eyes and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her soul, and her life will never be the same. I mean, it's just I'm tired of it, and the government failed the Lake and Riley family. Not only if President Trump was president, he'd be sitting in Mexico in the Remain in Mexico program. And if he did get to New York and he was arrested for injury to a child in New York, ICE would be able to arrest him because the priorities under Trump were if you're in the country illegally, you're a target. But because Secretary Mayorkas put the priorities so low, even the injury to the child didn't meet the standards, so ICE could even place a detainer on him. So this is purely, it could have been prevented. This young lady's dead, and I want every mayor, every governor of a sanctuary jurisdiction to listen to that tape, listen to this young girl fight for her life, fight for her breath, trying to survive, terrified. I want you to understand what she went through. Like the 9-year-old boy, the 5-year-old boy in the back of the tractor trailer that I held, I found him dead, baked to death. I thought about what the last hour of his life was like. You need to listen to this tape. And for those governors and mayors that are saying they're going to stop Tom Homan, they're going to stop President Trump, shame on you. Your responsibility is to protect your communities, and that's what we want to do, is protect your community.
You know, it's just so simple. That's what we want to do, is protect your community. Shame on you to anybody that wants to stand in his way. Yet they do. They're actively saying they're going to stand in Tom Homan's way. They're going to stand in Tom Homan's way. Governors, mayors, Democrats, left, all over the place, saying we're going to stand in his way. He's visibly upset. This man who is a large guy, tough guy, visibly upset. You can hear it in his voice, talking about that devastation that he's seen. Yet the leftists will go on TV and they'll go on their podcasts and they'll feign tears talking about mass deportations. Rachel Maddow, she had crocodile tears just yesterday. I saw this video online. Rachel Maddow has crocodile tears because of what's going to come in a Trump administration and mass deportations.
I expect that it will be mass deportations. It will be millions of people in camps managed by the U.S. military. I expect it will be military raids in civilian areas to try to take on this extreme anti-immigrant agenda, which I think he means every word of. I think that it.
She has like these fake tears in her eyes. And I wish she would bring that same energy when talking about the damage that's been caused by the open border. Can we use the same energy? You have kids being sold into sex slavery. You have kids being sold into forced labor. You have women and mothers being raped and murdered by illegal aliens. Can we bring the same energy for those innocent victims as the ones who are breaking into our country illegally and doing the crimes? Can we? We never get the same energy. We don't. I mean, if you remember at the State of the Union, Joe Biden called Jose Ibarra an illegal alien. And then he doubled down on MSNBC to apologize for calling Jose Ibarra an illegal alien.
I noticed the look of surprise on your face when you walked into the chamber and you saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Laken Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented.
I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented. Remember, don't ever forget that the head Democrat in charge, we're told that he's the head Democrat in charge. He didn't want to call the illegal alien Trende Aragua murderer of Laken Riley illegal. If only we could have this same energy dealing with the issues in our country, as opposed to hiding the issues in our country. If only we could. Yet governors and mayors, they're going to stand in the way. Mayor Michelle Wu of Boston, she said that she's going to stand in the way of Tom Homan. Michelle Wu, the same woman who had a no whites allowed Christmas party, said that she's going to stand in the way of Tom Homan. She's one of those mayors that isn't going to let this take place on her watch.
What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and cities, no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact.
So she's not going to help or cooperate with deportations because she wants to protect everyone in the city. That's her selling point. I want to protect everyone and not have widespread fear. And I would just like to point out in Boston, just yesterday, quite a few illegal aliens are arrested for rape. ICE arrested illegal aliens in Boston that were accused of child rape. So when she says she wants to protect everybody in the city, I wonder if she's talking about these kids. She's not. She's talking about the illegal aliens. She puts a much higher value on illegal aliens than she does American citizens. But ICE Boston announced the arrest of 3 alleged illegal alien child rapists in Massachusetts, 2 of whom are charged with forcibly raping Massachusetts children, and another who was convicted of raping a child in Brazil in 2022 but was hiding in Massachusetts as a fugitive after he was caught and released at the New Mexico border in April of 2022. These arrests just took place in Mass, where, again, the mayor of Boston says she's not going to help with mass deportations, and the governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey, said the other day also she's not going to cooperate with any enforcement efforts when it comes to these illegal aliens. 3 cases in Boston, and you got the mayor of Boston and the governor of Massachusetts say, we're not going to help. We're worried about everyone's safety. What about the safety of these kids? Don't worry about it. It's crazy. In one of the cases, a Guatemalan illegal alien was charged with forcibly raping a mass child in February. ICE says Great Barrington PD ignored their detainer request and released him without notice. ICE had to find him and arrest him a week later in Great Barrington. Another case, Brazilian illegal alien, convicted of raping a child in Brazil in 2022. He fled to the U.S., where he crossed into the U.S. illegally in New Mexico in April of 22, and then he was released into the country despite the child rape conviction. We got to protect everybody, they say. We have to protect everybody. Okay. Let's let him in. Why not? Case number 3, got a Colombian illegal alien. He was arrested in October of 2023 by police in Great Barrington, Massachusetts for forcibly raping a Massachusetts child. The Berkshire County Jail honored the ICE detainer in that request and transferred him into their custody on Friday. You have all these cases, and they're saying, we're not going to help. We're not going to assist. It's wild. Absolutely wild. And even more so, the mainstream media covers everything up. They act like it's no big deal. In fact, after the conviction of Jose Ibarra yesterday, the illegal alien Tren de Aragua gang member who killed Laken Riley, ABC, like minutes later, was on TV blaming Donald Trump. You don't hate the mainstream media enough. You don't. It was Ike Ejochi. I don't know all the fake news reporters. But literally, this is minutes after Jose Ibarra is convicted of killing Laken Riley.
This death of Laken Riley and the subsequent trial has essentially been a massive political lightning rod here in this country. And you said it there yourself, the president-elect campaigning on the death of Laken Riley and pointing to the current administration, saying that their laws and what they're calling failed policies contributed to Laken Riley's death.
I love how he says Trump is campaigning on the death of Laken Riley. It's like, no. He was campaigning on securing the border that the Biden administration left wide open. He's campaigning on not having taxpayer-funded flights to send illegal alien gang members into the state of Georgia. And the American people agreed with that campaign. They agreed that we need to secure the southern border. They agreed we need to put American citizens over illegal aliens. But ABC News, no. They want to do their best to frame this as a Trump thing.
I want to remind you that Ibarra entered this country illegally in 2022, according to law enforcement officials, and he was paroled and released for further processing by ICE. And since that time he entered the country, he was arrested another time. Law enforcement officers saying that he was arrested in 2023 in New York City and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17, as well as a motor vehicle violation. But it's important to note that although there is very little evidence indicating a connection between immigration and violent crime, this is still something the President-elect Trump, several Republicans on the Hill wanted to essentially plant their flag on and point that to the current Biden administration.
There's very little correlation, he says, between immigration and violent crime. Very little correlation. You know how much illegal alien crime we should tolerate in this country? It's zero, actually. It's zero. We should not tolerate any illegal alien crime. I don't care if they steal a candy bar. Zero. And you got into this country by breaking the law in the first place. ABC News. They should be ashamed of themselves for this.
We saw that even as early as President Biden's latest State of the Union address, where Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene infamously interrupted President Biden, forcing him to acknowledge the death of Laken Riley, something that President Biden did by holding up a pin in her during that State of the Union.
And he leaves out the part where Biden called her Lincoln Riley and then apologized the next day for referring to her killer as illegal. Let's leave that part out. Thanks, ABC.
It is important to note that all of this vitriol that we're hearing from Republicans and President-elect Trump regarding the policies of the Biden administration, it's important to know that President-elect Trump did force Republicans to essentially tank a bipartisan border security bill that both sides of the aisle said would have essentially addressed border security and immigration issues.
It's important to note, says the fake news reporter, it's important to note that it was Donald Trump that tanked the bipartisan border bill that was going to send billions to Ukraine. Just important to note. Important to note, the same bipartisan border bill that would have let, like 1 million and change illegal aliens into the country every year without triggering a response. Just important to note. Important to note if you're keeping score at home. ABC should be ashamed of themselves. The fake news should be ashamed of themselves. Yet they won't be. They'll just double down again tomorrow, as they often do. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Several picks for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet are visiting with Republican lawmakers, and there is a warning for Republicans on Capitol Hill when it comes to votes. We'll tell you about it at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. We were talking about the border and the fake news coverage. It's honestly disgusting. The way ABC tried to blame Donald Trump for the disaster at the open border because he opposed a bipartisan border bill that also gave billions to Ukraine. We're still giving billions to Ukraine, by the way. Able to do that. Luckily, there are some sane people out there. Donald Trump reacted to Lake and Riley, vowed to secure the border, wants justice for Laken Riley. And you know what? Texas is saying, hey, we're in. The state of Texas has offered 1,400 acres to the Trump administration for criminal migrant detention deportation center. You love to hear it, right? It's music to my ears. The Texas General Land Office Commissioner Don Buckingham offered to lease the incoming Trump administration a 1,400-acre tract of land near the state's border with Mexico. 1,400 acres, and that would be used to build a facility for the processing, detention, and deportation of violent criminal migrants. Fox News is the first to report it. Breitbart has a story. Commissioner Buckingham sent a letter to President-elect Donald J. Trump offering to provide that tract of land in Starr County, Texas. In the letter, she said her office is fully prepared to enter into an agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration, and Customs Enforcement, or the United States Border Patrol to allow that facility to be built for processing, detention, and coordination of the largest deportation of violent criminals in the nation's history. You know, a lot of people are hanging on that too. We're only going to do violent criminals. But I want to point out what Tom Homan said, which I love. Tom Homan said, "Yeah, we'll start with violent criminals, but I just want to be clear: if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table."
If you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table. I mean, we've been looking for fugitives. There's over 1 million illegal aliens in this country who got due process at great taxpayer expense, were ordered removed by a judge, and failed to leave. So they're also a priority. But yeah, I mean, we'll be moving on to those who may not be a criminal, may not be a fugitive, but they enter this country illegally, which is a crime, and they're here illegally, and they are not off the table. I want to be clear on that.
Listen, I'm here for that. I love it. A lot of the talking points on the right, especially, have been like, whoa, slow down. We got illegals to go after that are criminals. We'll get the murderers out. We'll get the rapists out. We'll get the gang members out, which I agree. High priority has to be handled first. But if you came into the country illegally, you still got to leave. And I support what Tom Homan said. Crossing the border is a crime. You're not off the table. If you came in illegally, it's not off the table. It's not. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. And Tom Homan has a message for the leaders that may be standing in his way. This is also from the Laura Ingraham show last night. Tom Homan, he's not exactly pleased when he hears the governors and the mayors saying that they're not going to help with the deportation effort, that they're essentially going to help the illegal aliens stay in the country.
Well, first of all, so those people who say they're going to stop us from what they're doing, they will not. I'm going to do this job. Men and women of ICE are going to do this job. You're not going to stop us. But let me give you a word of advice. If you impede us, there's going to be consequences. You cannot help us, but also read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III. It is a felony to harbor and conceal, knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien. So read that statute and don't cross that line. But look, President Trump has made it clear. Coming around the gate is public safety threats and national security threats, and we have plenty of them to find. Under Biden administration, removal of criminal aliens has decreased 74%. So we got target-rich environment. So we're going to prioritize those public safety threats. And for any governor or mayor who doesn't want public safety threats taken out of their communities, you should resign your office, because your number one responsibility is protect those communities.
He's absolutely right. If you're a mayor or a governor and you're going to try and stand in the way, what are you thinking? You're abandoning your duties. You should be embarrassed. You should resign in disgrace. And if you go a step further and you're not just not cooperating, but now you're assisting illegal aliens, I would worry. I would worry. Tom Homan, if you impede us, there's going to be consequences. Every time this guy gets on TV and he's talking, man, I'm like, yeah, that was the right choice. That was 100% the right choice for Border Czar, Tom Homan. It's 11:31 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, several picks for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet are visiting with Republican lawmakers this week as Trump transition advisors warn Republicans to fall in line behind the new administration's team. Here's Jonathan Karl.
One senior Trump advisor told ABC News the message is, quote, if you are on the wrong side of the vote, you're buying yourself a primary. Trump has suggested if any of his nominees are not confirmed, he would bypass the Senate by appointing cabinet members while Congress is in recess, an idea some Republicans say is out of bounds.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have laid out details of how the Department of Government Efficiency will work. They're going to appoint people in government agencies to figure out how many employees are actually needed to carry out constitutional and statutorily mandated duties. They're going to get it to the absolute minimum, they say. The goal is to cut $500 billion a year in federal spending, which Congress never authorized or is even needed. The director of the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation clarifying his remarks at state budget hearings in which he said the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua is present in every major city in the state. But some local police agencies say they don't see it. Here's TBI Director David Rouse speaking to Channel 4.
What I want to make sure that the public knows is that we are aware. We are watching them. We are tracking those that we know that are here. And we also want the public to be diligent, as always, and paying attention in their communities for signs of things like human trafficking.
He says many of the local agencies don't have the same intelligence gathering that TBI does. Metro Nashville police say they have a heightened awareness of gang activity in the city. A former Nashville high school coach has surrendered to police charged with statutory rape. 32-year-old Tyler Forte is accused of having multiple sexual encounters with a 17-year-old Donaldson Christian Academy student 4 years ago. He was a coach at the school. Police started their investigation in September when the former student came forward. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Mason Fleming producing. Ken Weaver in the newsroom. And while we were in break, a massive story just broke. Can you hit the breaking news sounder for me? Matt Gaetz says he is withdrawing as Attorney General pick.
Interesting.
He has withdrawn as Attorney General pick. I'm really disappointed in this one.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Downright bummed. Matt Gaetz withdraws himself from being Trump's Attorney General pick, and he released a statement with it, and the statement reads like this. I had excellent meetings with senators yesterday. I appreciate their thoughtful feedback and the incredible support of so many. While the momentum was strong, it is clear that my confirmation was unfairly becoming a distraction to the critical work of the Trump-Vance transition team. There's no time to waste on a needlessly protracted Washington scuffle. Thus, I'll be withdrawing my name from consideration to serve as Attorney General. Trump's DOJ must be in place and ready on day one. I remain fully committed to see that Donald J. Trump is the most successful president in history. I will forever be honored that President Trump nominated me to lead the Department of Justice, and I'm certain that he will save America. Couple of thoughts just off the jump, off this news of Matt Gaetz withdrawing as Attorney General pick. Why? If he had the momentum, and that was strong, why? Does somebody have dirt on Matt Gaetz that was going to be explosive? Maybe this is blackmail. I can't wrap my head around any other scenario. I also worry about what this means moving forward. You see, if Gaetz is going to withdraw because he's become a distraction to the Trump-Vance transition team, what does that mean about Pete Hegseth? Is he too going to have to withdraw for becoming a distraction? See, when you bend the knee to these radical leftists, you're only going to encourage them that their strategy is working. So I do have to wonder if it's just because he's become a distraction, why so soft? Why so soft? It's not like they wouldn't do this to anybody else. We've seen them do this to everybody that's come into Trump's orbit. We've seen this with Brett Kavanaugh. We've seen this with Trump himself. We're seeing this with Pete Hegseth. Linda McMahon is getting barbs thrown at her as well. What happened to standing your ground? I'm honestly shocked and just disappointed. You had senators out there like our own Marsha Blackburn saying, I'm going to support every Trump nomination. We were ready to go full bore against people like Lisa Murkowski, who I called out earlier in the show, the senator out of Alaska. You supported Merrick Garland. Why can't you support Matt Gaetz? Lindsey Graham was on record as a guy that supported Merrick Garland, who's saying he's going to now support Matt Gaetz. Wow. Tommy Tuberville yesterday supporting Matt Gaetz. We can go down the list. Everybody was supporting Matt Gaetz. I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect them to give a win to the radical left so soon. Because make no mistake about it, the radical left will celebrate this as a win. And you know what? It is. It's a win for them. It's a win for them. Wow. Matt Gaetz withdrawing from his nomination for Attorney General.
So I wonder, so can now Ron DeSantis reappoint him to his seat in the House in Florida?
Yeah, can he withdraw his resignation, or does he get appointed as senator by Ron DeSantis?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Or congressman, House member.
Yeah. Does he get back into the Congress seat, or could DeSantis appoint him to senator?
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the two scenarios
That's
that you have
right.
to wonder
Yeah, because that's right. Yeah.
Because Rubio will get confirmed easily, and then you have a Senate seat open that.
What if that was the plan?
DeSantis could. Well, I did hear people beforehand saying, well, you know what? If he doesn't get confirmed, DeSantis could always put him into the Senate seat. Though I've also heard that their relationship is icy at best.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see what happens. Matt Gaetz withdrawing from AG consideration, saying that his nomination has become a distraction. And Trump needs to get the Department of Justice ready to go on day one.
See, I wonder if the president-elect, he's got to know about this. Because I'm telling you, nothing happens. It doesn't appear to me nothing happens without Trump saying so.
No, and there's no way that we're learning of this at the same time as all. It's not like a sports league player getting traded and finding out on Twitter. Like Trump is not finding out on Twitter.
No,
he was told about this long before. I wonder who made the call.
Yeah,
because it was just yesterday. Trump was asked about Gaetz and he said no. They said,
That's right.
They said to him, it was like, are you reconsidering your pick of Matt Gaetz for AG, something along those lines? And he said no. This is it. This is from yesterday.
Mr. President, are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
Simple enough.
Yep. It's one word.
That was at the SpaceX launch on November 19th. Sorry, that was Tuesday. So on Tuesday, Trump was asked, "Are you reconsidering the nomination?" He said no. We find out the House Ethics Report is not going to come out. We understand that there were all these allegations around Matt Gaetz, but they were all BS. Why not stand and fight? I don't understand this. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. And the left is going to celebrate this as a win. Make no mistake about it. The left is going to celebrate this as a massive, massive win. And then what happens next? So now the distraction of Matt Gaetz is gone, okay? This will live in the news cycle for a day or two. And now the full attention is going to go on to Pete Hegseth. And Pete Hegseth is now dealing with his own allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman. Again, we covered this earlier in the show, and police were called, and no charges were pressed because no evidence was found. They didn't believe the allegations. So I think that that's the most important point in that. But what do you do now? What do you do? Is that's going to be the next biggest distraction, right?
Now, Hegseth is visiting with senators today.
Yeah, Mark Wayne Mullen was just praising Pete Hegseth on the live Fox stream.
Do you feel that he has enough experience to take on the responsibility of such a big department?
Keep in mind, what is the deputy secretary supposed to be? He's supposed to be a civilian, right? And I think he's perfect. He's a decorative combat veteran. He's got 2 Bronze Stars, 20 years in service. He retired as a major, and he's a civilian. He knows this. It's not like he has no experience inside the military. I think he is perfect for the position.
He's perfect for the position. You know, it's funny, though, because people were saying that about Matt Gaetz just yesterday. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it was just a day ago that the woman that unseated Liz Cheney was defending Matt Gaetz live on TV. You know, it's so what happens with Pete Hegseth? I can't believe he bent the knee. That's mind-blowing to me. That's mind-blowing to me. Reacting to this in real time, and we'll have updates all day long on this withdrawal from consideration for Attorney General of Matt Gaetz. Absolutely a wild story. It was too much of a distraction. Too much of a distraction. Well, now there's a new large distraction, and it's Pete Hegseth, the nominee for Secretary of Defense, and the allegations of sexual assault from 2017. Pete Hegseth was speaking to the press today on Capitol Hill.
I want to thank the President of the United States for this amazing, humbling opportunity to be nominated to lead the Department of Defense. It's an incredible opportunity that we do not take lightly. I just want to thank the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, for spending the morning with me, meeting with senators of the United States. We take very seriously the advice and consent role that the U.S. Senate has. We look forward to engaging in that process. We take absolutely nothing for granted, and we welcome the opportunity to talk to any senator that wants to talk to us.
Did you sexually assault a woman in Monterey, California?
I have, as far as the media is concerned, I'll keep it very simple. The matter was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared, and that's from illegal. Thank you.
Yeah, the matter was fully investigated and you were completely cleared. So was Matt Gaetz. And we just gave the left a massive win by allowing Matt Gaetz to withdraw. Huge win. I mean, before the withdrawal from consideration came down via Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan was defending him this morning on Fox Business.
What I know is Matt Gaetz is one of the most talented members we've ever had on our committee. All you got to do is watch him cross-examine a witness. And then I know this, if he's the Attorney General, I don't think we're going to have a Justice Department that is investigating moms and dads who are going to school board meetings. I don't think we're going to have a Justice Department where the Richmond field office writes a memorandum saying if you're a pro-life Catholic, you're an extremist. And maybe if Mr. Gaetz is running the Justice Department, we might actually get some answers to some kind of basic questions, like who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th, who leaked the Dobbs opinion, and who put cocaine at the White House. I think the American people have the right to know those answers to those questions. So I'm looking for an attorney general who's going to do what they're supposed to do, not be weaponizing the Justice Department against the very people they're supposed to serve.
That's Jim Jordan talking about Matt Gaetz earlier this morning. That's what we were all looking forward to about Matt Gaetz. That's what I was looking forward to. It appears that will not be the case. Matt Gaetz has withdrawn his consideration for the nomination to Attorney General. Breaking news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the accusations did him in. Will the accusations do in any of the other Trump cabinet picks? I mean, that's where the conversation will naturally go. And now the guy in the crosshairs is Pete Hegseth. We'll be covering this all day long right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and we're checking in with Matt Murphy next to see what's coming up on Murphy's Show right here on Super Talk. It's 11:56 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Today we're passing a pessimism baton. Are you ready?
Hold on a second. Before you go any further, Chris, I know it's your show, but I'm going to need a minute. Do you have the set? Can we get it in there? Mason, we have breaking news. Have you heard about Matt Gaetz?
This is why I'm passing the pessimism baton.
Are you on top of this?
It pisses me off. I'm honestly like, you give the left a win this early? Why? You become a distraction? Every nominee of Donald J. Trump is going to be a distraction. All you've done is, if you're the biggest distraction, now Pete Hegseth is the biggest distraction. And if you give the left an easy win on Matt Gaetz, then they're not going to turn down the rhetoric on Pete Hegseth. They're only going to ramp it up. So congratulations. Matt Gaetz, you're no longer a distraction. Pete Hegseth, you're up next.
Or Kennedy or
Linda McMahon
Homan or
anybody.
Whatever.
Anybody.
Whomever. Name me the nominee that the mainstream media and the Democrats have applauded.
Exactly.
Right? That would be zero. Of course they haven't. There are some that they're going after harder than others. I would have suggested that at least keep your name in consideration until, I don't know, Donald Trump is actually president of the United States of America. And and look, I understand that it is possible to have things that would come out that might be legal but might make your nomination untenable. I understand that. But I also understand that if you give this victory this early, they're going to move on and they're going to try to gather more pelts, which is what they're about to do. And the Hegseth thing, and I'm going to talk about this on my show, the Hegseth thing feels more and more and more like Brett Kavanaugh every single day that it goes by.
Yeah.
You're now telling me that a grown man cannot have a consensual sexual relationship with a grown woman while I think he was going through or had just been divorced. So he was single. So he's not having an extramarital affair. He's just having a consensual relationship. And the Monterey Police Department investigated it fully, saw the video from the hotel, and determined that she was lying to them. And that's a disqualifier?
They're not going to turn back now. They already have a scalp. Now they're going to lean in even harder.
Of course not. Well, I always felt like of all of the nominees that, smart people surely saw that Gaetz was going to be the toughest to get through, but you keep him standing in the gate.
Exactly. Go through the process.
Yeah. Why not? As Josh Hawley said last night. Well, go ahead.
Were you the one that said that Gaetz is the head fake, or was that Mandis? I couldn't remember which one of you guys said it.
I said, if anything, that he is the antelope that they know is going to be slowest on the safari.
Yep.
And all of the other antelopes get through, and he gets eaten, and you have all of your nominees save one.
But they haven't even started running.
They haven't even started running.
They're like, hey, I'm over here. You can eat me.
Unless the only other alternative, and it's certainly a possibility, I suppose, the only other alternative is that it was, in fact, Matt Gaetz' decision because he didn't want aspects of the ethics report coming out. I don't know. I have no idea. I know that Biden's Department of Justice cleared him of any criminal wrongdoing.
And it was the Biden DOJ.
Right.
They would go after you for anything.
Right.
If you didn't put the seat down, the Biden DOJ might come after you.
But at the same time, once again, I don't know why you put him up and don't at least get him to January. I don't know.
It's the craziest thing.
I'll be more optimistic, though, if you want me to.
All right, Murphy.
That's something.
Murphy will raise the optimism levels around here.
I don't know. What have I got? Let's see. Let's see what's on the stack.
What can you be optimistic
about? Did you see Jaguars Bud Lighting themselves?
Oh my gosh!
Did you see that?
I think the most offensive part about that ad was that it's a car commercial with no car.
They say, they say copy nothing in the ad. I think that's the line. Copy nothing.
There was nothing to copy.
Well, they're copying advertising over the last 6 years. From it's just ridiculous. We'll talk about that. That'll be fun.
So, just to recap, you're going to raise optimism levels by getting angry at Jaguar.
Yes, that's correct. I'm a Bud Light Jaguar.
Only Murphy can do it. It's 12 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.